Welcome to the depths of darkness, to the light of success. I'm your host, Chris Swick. Today I got Fresh Kils, a legend from Toronto, producer, MPC player, DJ, you name it, he's got it all under his belt. Fresh, why don't you give us a little rundown on who you are and stuff and what you're all about?
Hey man, thanks for having me on the show. Let's get a little rundown, huh? It's a bit of a laundry list. My name's I go by Fresh Kills. My last name's Kilgore, so the name comes. It's not Kills as in like violent Fresh Kills. It's actually like my nickname was Kills for forever, so it's kind of like saying Fresh Chris, except So Fresh Kills, I go by. I'm an engineer and producer, music producer. And I'm sort of probably known mostly for my as a performer on the MPC on the pads, finger drummer and live beat performer, and multiple Juno nominated, and won a bunch of battles, and selfish or humble brag. Yeah, that's me.
Nice. So
Toronto.
what was it like growing up? Are you from Toronto then?
Yeah, I'm a downtown kid. I grew up downtown Toronto.
Nice. Whereabouts?
I'm a rich kid.
A rich kid.
I am a rich kid.
Nice.
Yeah, I grew up in Rosedale. I grew up.
Oh.
I'm not from old money. I'm not like one of those like generations of money kind of thing. But my dad was a successful cat, and I went to private school when I was a kid, and I wore a uniform. You'd rob me for my lunch money most.
So how would you say
I would have deserved that.
Yeah.
I was a little. I can swear, right?
Oh, you can swear. You can. Do
I was
whatever
a
the hell
little
you
rich
want.
shit for a while, and
Nice.
that's not really true, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. So how would you say your relationship growing up with your family was? Like good, bad? Had its ups and downs, and
I got to tell you, man. I've been luckier than dirt, man. I'm the luckiest man on the planet as far as I'm concerned. My parents didn't have it easy. My mom was a refugee from Hungary in the late 50s. My dad had a terrible is maybe a pretty bad relationship with his dad. He was an only child, and so my parents, because they didn't really have it great where they came from. They really made life for me and my sister. They tried to support us and raise us as best they could. And so I had a great relationship with my folks. I still do. My folks are still together. They've supported me every step of the way. They come to all my shows, man. Like my 7-year-old
that's
folks
amazing.
show up at my shows. And the joke used to be is that they were worried about embarrassing me at shows, and they would try to like disguise themselves. And so my folks would show up in like black turtlenecks and try to be
Trying to fit in.
and which was really, I mean, it's cute. Obviously it's cute. But the funny thing was I was never really that embarrassed about it. And there's something about this, I don't know, like when your folks come to your shows, an interesting thing happens. Like it's kind of like, like where one of your friends has a dad or a mom that smokes weed and like is around you guys, you're smoking weed.
The cool parents, I guess.
Yeah,
I had those ones. Yeah.
totally. Well, there's something about it because it makes everybody else feel more comfortable because it's almost like this tacit approval from another generation. It's like my mom and dad are here, and if you want to get fucking drunk and have a good time at my show, that's fucking awesome, and they're fully about it. And my dad and fucking buy my dad a drink. God damn it! Make sure make sure he crashes the car on the way home. Like, it's this really great. It actually is awesome, and I always say this to other people's parents when they come to shows, because parents will come to shows and they'll feel weird.
Yeah.
And I will beeline towards them, and I make sure I let every parent know. I'm like, listen, your presence here means a lot to us that you're here.
For sure.
You know?
It shows that they have the love for you and stuff like that. And
dude, I am the most blessed motherfucker on the planet, and yeah, and I talk to my mom and dad every other day, and like I really, it's funny because I spent a long part of my life, especially in hip hop music and in rap and music in general, hiding where I was from, embarrassed kind of about where I was from.
why were you embarrassed though?
I mean,
Did
it
you
doesn't
think
do
like that
anything.
people would think you got everything handed to you? Or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I spent most of my life kind of working my ass off to kind of deserve a lot of the stuff that I had sort of been given at different times. Like, um, and it's hard too, because yeah, I mean, DJ Dopey, for example, used to just fucking rip on me real bad about it. He'd be like, "Is this play?" We'd be going to a diner after a show, and he'd be like, "Is this Rosedale enough for you?" And what's funny is like that shit actually fucked me up. That shit hurt because
I
I was
bet.
like, because I spent a long time really, I worked on myself for so long to like
Just as an
not,
individual.
yeah, and to not be one of those fuckboys. Because that's the thing. And I always say this too, and this is going to come up a lot in our conversation about me coming up.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a ton of role models per se. I had a lot of people that I didn't want to become, if that makes sense.
And what was your main one you didn't want to become, I guess, if you want to put it out there?
I had friends in high school. I had a lot of friends in high school I had a lot of friends in high school. I had friends in high school and people I knew in high school that could have done anything they fucking wanted in their entire lives. They could have done anything. They could have gone anywhere. They could have been anything. They had every opportunity in the world to do everything they fucking wanted to do. And I've seen so many of those people just piss it away. And that there's nothing like I don't think there's anything more pathetic and fucked up than that. And I have friends I don't really associate too much. I don't say associate, like I still have friends that are like those sad people that are still, I still know them, and they're like they just never did anything with their lives, and they're like they never knew what to do. And the other thing too is like, and this is a weird one, because who gives a fuck about you know rich people that don't know what the fuck to do with their lives. But some of those people are really, really fucking sad, and they're really like, I don't know how to say it. I immediately just didn't want to be those people. I just didn't want to have anything to do with that. And I didn't want to be, like when I left high school, I wanted to get as far away from. I was either going to go from Toronto, I was either going to go to Vancouver or Halifax, the two furthest distances I could possibly go.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. The whole high school thing was, being in a private school was really, I didn't like the people. I didn't really get. I had great friends, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't want to be those types of people.
No, for sure. I hear what you're
know.
saying. Like, I've had those same types of relationships too, where people come from those types of lives and stuff like that. But I don't want to grow up and be like them either. I wanted to pave my own way, and I had to pave my own way the hard way too some days. But
Yeah,
it is what it is, man. And I'm working a lot on my personal development, and one of them was putting out this podcast lately. So
there you go.
No better time than now to do something.
For sure. And
Yeah.
and it's also too, is like there's a sense of responsibility. It's like, if you're a healthy person that has your feet under you, and you have, like, you figured something, none of us figured everything out, but like there is a responsibility to whatever privilege that you have, there is a sense of responsibility, in the sense of like, if you have shit, you really do have a responsibility to like respect what you have, respect what you've been given, and utilize it to help people, and be like, as best as you can. I mean, some of us are better at that than others, and it's not to be judgmental of anybody, but fuck it, man. We have first world problems. Thank God for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, for sure.
So
So did you end up going to university or post-secondary after you're done high school there? Or?
yeah, I would say probably the most formative thing that I ever did, the biggest decision I ever made was to go to Halifax
Oh, okay.
after high school. And I was not listening to hip hop music in high school at all. I was like I was listening to rock and metal, and I suppose some trip hop stuff, like some electronic shit, but not really like hip hop. Wasn't really like my thing. And I specifically remember, like, I loved Rage Against the Machine. It might have been the closest I got, or Portishead and Beck and some of that stuff. But I remember specifically a friend of mine I had this one friend who used to show me. Yes, this is kind of cliche, but he's like the one black guy in my school or my grade. Of course, we were homies for some reason. His name was Niapa, and he was like, he was like, I don't even say my DJ, but he was like a DJ. He didn't DJ, but he brought so much music to everyone.
Yeah.
And he like put me up on so much music, and he got really excited about Cypress Hill, and he showed me Insane in the Membrane. And I remember listening to Insane in the Membrane and thinking it was trash. Just being like, this is trash. I was like, Insane in the Membrane, Insane in the Brain, like what? Like whatever. Like fuck that. Give me something else. So yeah.
Needless to say, Cypress Hill wasn't on the top of your list, eh?
No, man. Well, and it's important. I think it's important too, because like I retroactively discovered hip hop music. Like that wasn't in my wheelhouse. I was a rock cat. I was playing guitar. I was a guitar player. I played in rock bands. I had my 4-track. I had my long hair. You know what I mean?
I found some good articles and found some old gems out there on the interwebs. So have you
take it easy, huh? Take it easy out there.
No, but what made you make that switch from the guitar though to the the hip hop scene, I guess, or the DJing scene and stuff?
It was Halifax, 100%. I mean,
was it? What was it down there?
I went out. This is how old I am. I went out there. My first year was 98, 99. Okay. And Halifax was like, and I don't know. There's something about that particular time, but like if you can imagine, Halifax was, Classified was coming up, Bastard was Scratch Bastard was coming up, DJ Moves was coming up, who went on to be
Ghetto
Len.
Sox.
Ghetto Sox was a little bit later. At the time, it was like The Goods, Gordsky, Tachichi, Sebutones, Buck 65, 6'2", Josh Martinez, Scratch Bastard, Caleb Simmons, Classified. I mean, you're talking about a scene that was like really exciting, and you could feel that it was exciting. And a lot of those guys went on to, like become Canadian rap at whatever point. Obviously, we talk about Classified. We can talk about the institution, the DJ institution that is Scratch Bastard. But like, to be around that scene at that time was like, holy shit, like something is going on here. And it was really my friendship with Fester, who was basically across the hall from me in my first year university, who introduced me to everything. In particular, it was the production. It was the beats and the vinyl and the DJing and the sampling. And like I said, like I had a 4-track and I played guitar and I had a computer. Like I was fooling around with stuff on the computer. And so I had like the production and the engineering was already like kind of in my view. Like I had a sense of certain things of that. And so we had a really natural relationship because he was DJing and making beats and rapping. And I was like, I had the 4-track and I could engineer and play guitar. And so we kind of became this thing. Like we started as the Extremities back then.
Yeah.
And we learned everything together. And for me too, like I should say, so you're right, because you're asking me about like why rap. I got to be honest with you and say that like it really took me years to get rap in particular. Like for me, it was the beats and the production and the like that stuff really kind of captured my imagination before like the rap really did. If that makes any sense. And also what I was saying to you before about how like coming up from where I came from, and sort of going like, well, because that was my whole thing. Like, what's going on here? What can I do? Like, what's my role? What's my place in this particular thing? What isn't being done? What needs to be done? Like no one knows how to make records yet. That's what my crew didn't know how to do. We were looking up to all these guys doing all these things, but we didn't know how to make records. Sean Fester knew how to make beats. He knew how to DJ. He knew how to rap. The recording stuff I was like, I can do that. I know how to do that. I'll figure that out. So yeah.
Now, is that what you went to school for down there, or not even close?
No, not even close. I had one of those. It was a multidisciplinary degree out there, modeled after this Columbia University. Columbia University has this thing called the Great Books course, And what it is like you study Western culture through great works, right?
Okay.
And so it's sort of like that. It's four classes in one, and you basically study all the great works of Western culture. So like everything from like Descartes philosophy to Dante's Inferno, so like poetry to literature to
Oh
political
wow.
science.
All
But you
jammed
do it,
into one, eh?
it's cool because you do it chronologically. So it's not like if you're in a philosophy class and you just study the philosophers in isolation, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing. But if you study, like, what was so fascinating and why I did it was like, if you study, okay, so Descartes, right? He's like he doesn't believe anything he can't prove, that he can't see, right? And but if you understand why, like, Voltaire, who's writing all this like satire and he's making fun of the king and all this shit, it's like there was like a zeitgeist to France at that time, which was, so Descartes and Voltaire are like related to each other culturally. But you don't really get that if you're just studying literature in like linear literature, right? Like you're
Yeah.
studying literature in a vacuum. You're not studying, like, it's the same way where we would, like, if we were to study, you know, Drake, well, or whoever the fuck we want to talk about,
Yeah.
there's like a cultural and historical context to what's going on and why it's important, as opposed to just like, okay, well, let's study, philosophy because we like to get high and talk about bullshit.
No doubt.
you know?
No doubt.
So yeah,
Well, that's cool. So that's how you got into the university scene then, and how you got into the music.
I had a crisis of conscience in third year, which everybody does. If you go into the humanities, everyone freaks out third year and gets into sciences.
Yeah.
And all the science kids, they freak out in third year and go into humanities. They're like, it's
Nice. I'm gonna backtrack a little. So I remember back a little earlier in our conversation, you were talking about like some dark times you had, like just that guy in particular. These people made you feel like really down on yourself. Like what were you feeling and stuff like that?
what do you mean dark times?
Like
Like,
like you were saying earlier about like people were taking jabs at you and stuff because you were that rich white kid or whatever,
sure,
and you didn't deserve what you had, sort of thing, and they didn't believe you, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you were being put down or bullied, it sounded like, and stuff like that.
sure.
Yeah. So like, how did that make you feel, like, and how did you, dig past that?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, it sort of comes up at different times, I guess. I mean, when you're a kid, you get bullied for everything. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the stupidest things you get bullied for.
I think
The
we're
thing
all
was,
we're all not
for me,
innocent about that.
sure.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I got out of when I got out of high school, because even in high school, I was sort of in that bubble.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I went out to Halifax that you really sort of have the mirror put up to you, and people are like, people are reacting to you in certain ways, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, why are they reacting to me this way?
Yeah.
And oh, that's right, I'm like this. But sometimes we're in the fishbowl, and we don't see the water, and we're fish in the fishbowl, and we don't realize the water that we're in, or whatever it is. Um, for me, it's sort of what I was saying about with the music thing, was like, well, what's my purpose here? Because like you're gonna get bullied and fucked around and fucked with if you
Yeah.
don't have a purpose, or you don't have, like, it's not necessarily it's not as easy as saying if you have a job or a vocation, but it's like you got to have a purpose in a crew. If you're just the guy getting shit on in the crew, then you're not gonna turn out well. It's gonna, you know what I mean? So you've got to find some utility, some way of like, owning a piece of the respect pie,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I
that
got you.
no, so they can fuck you around with all this other stuff, but when it comes to this, they need you, so they've got to be respectful of you in a
Look
certain
up to
level.
you.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that was sort of the thing. You sort of get ingenuity about it, because you kind of go, all right, well, what's it? I can't do this, I can't do that, but I can do this. And what's nobody doing? So
Yeah.
it goes back to what I was saying about having the opposite role models. Like for me, if everybody was doing something, it would immediately turn me off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've everybody's a fucking rapper. Well, like, I don't want to be a fucking rapper, dude. Everyone wants to be a shitty rapper.
They
Okay,
seem to be a
great.
dime a dozen these days.
Sure, everyone wants to be. Well, that's the reason why I'm not.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment in time, like, okay, everybody wanted to be a guitar player at some point too. Well, I drank that Kool-Aid, but, um, but yeah, I mean, I had a lot of friends that wanted to be rappers and they were shitty. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I don't want to be a shitty rapper. And I had a lot of friends that shouldn't have been rappers, straight up.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends that were calling themselves DJs, had no business calling themselves DJs. Like, I don't want to be one of those guys either, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up on the pads, because nobody was doing it. I was like, well, what's nobody doing? Like, by third year university, this is how much nobody was engineering back then. I had a little studio, basement studio, and I was booked. I was doing 2 or 3 sessions a day for 3 months straight.
Wow. Out of your basement studio.
Out of my basement. And we're not talking rap too. We're like, sure, there was a lot of rap, but I was doing bluegrass bands.
Wow.
I was doing punk groups. I was in a 8-piece reggae group. I was like, it was all kinds of, I was doing like audio for computer editing stuff. I was doing children's software recordings. It was like, it was all over the fucking place. And it was great, and you kind of inhaling it. But again, I'm going to keep harping on this, because it really was about, well, what are people not doing? Because that's how, for example, I found my way to like get, eke out respect amongst assholes. Or, I mean, my friends weren't assholes, but the general world of assholes.
Yeah, for sure. I got you.
The world that doesn't want to give you shit and doesn't want to respect you and everything else.
So after Halifax there and stuff, so where did you find yourself? Where did you end up landing back in Toronto, or did you stay down there for a while and hone your craft?
I was in
there?
Halifax. Yeah, I was in Halifax for 4 years.
Oh wow!
And,
after university, or
no? So I did 4 years there at university.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to Toronto. Yeah, I basically, what had happened was I had a crisis of conscience, and I transferred to the music program 3rd year.
Okay.
And I failed miserably. And part of that was that I was 2 years out of any formal training. I didn't want to play, because clarinet was what I played in high school. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play guitar.
Yeah.
If I was going to play an instrument, but I really didn't have any classical training in guitar. So I was 2 years out of musical formal training. I didn't have any classical or kind of, conservatory chops on the guitar. And so going into the music program, when I was doing 3rd and 4th year of seminar philosophy classes, and then trying to do the music programs, and then running the studio, and then smoking weed and sleeping with my girlfriend, like there just something was going to give. And so I fucked up my music classes. I was flunking. My beautiful Trinidad girlfriend broke up with me, and I went through just a terrible time. And
yeah.
So when I came out of the 4 years, I managed to like cobble together a philosophy degree. But the key is that I knew at that point why I switched into music programs, because by 3rd year I knew what I was supposed to do. Yeah. I was running all these sessions. I was running the studio. I was building the scene.
The light switch went on, and you're like, I need to fucking do that.
Shit was popping, yeah. And I was literally eating, sleeping, and breathing it, man. Like I was
nice.
Like I had a basement studio. It was every fucking day. It was full of people recording so I was killing shit. And but the problem is that I knew that I needed to legitimize what I was doing.
Yeah, and make it a business.
I needed to figure out how to make it work. And so, I mean, I took the recording stuff really seriously, but I knew I needed an education. And when I thought about it, I was like, because there were places that I could have gone in Halifax to learn.
Yeah.
But I knew that the action was in Toronto. And it was a tough decision, because a lot of my friends, and specifically, I don't put them on blast, but Fester, we had built this like little community, and we had, our crew was on the up, like the studio was kicking. And then I'm going to uproot everything and move back to Toronto.
Yeah.
And that was hard. That was hard on our friendship, obviously, which survived. It wasn't like, we didn't fall out, but it was just like, it was tough. And I uprooted there was the feeling that I'd sort of uprooted what we'd started.
Yeah.
which sucked for not just for me and him, but it sucked for a lot of, other people that were recording there and part of the whole scene.
Yeah. Now you're back in Toronto and they're down on the East Coast. So
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, a couple of my friends went to school in Shelburne to learn about, and I went to the Harrison Institute in Toronto. But my whole thing was like, at the time, my feeling was, well, fuck, I've got to like, is Halifax a big enough scene to feed this dream? Like, where am I going? Like, I've got to go where the action is. And at the time, I was even thinking like, fuck, I got to go to New York or I've got to go to LA, right?
yeah.
And in your mind, I mean, like so there are those moments of clarity, right? When like, if you realize at a certain point what you want to do, right? And you have a real passion about it.
Well, it's like that rocking chair moment, when you're 80 years old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you know what you want to do, and like the what you need to do, like I don't want to preach here, but you've got to go where it's happening, and you've got to go
For sure.
where the best people are doing it, like
Exactly.
because there's no other way to cut your teeth, And so I was like, the least I got to do is get back to Toronto and see what the fuck's going on there.
Yeah.
And which is funny because of course then there was fuck all going on. I mean,
even when you moved back, when this all started for you.
I mean, it was a bad year, man. My first year back in Toronto was rough. Like
Okay.
it fucking sucked, and it was one of the worst years of my life.
Probably
Hilariously. Yeah, you know what it was? It was a number of things. It was like totally uprooting everything that I'd started in Halley. So that there was that. Then there was moving back. I moved in with an old friend of mine who's I loved him dearly. He was such a great dude.
Yeah.
His father dies. His father was 57 at the time.
Okay.
Dies suddenly while walking the dog, like 10 days after having moved into our apartment. So my roommate is basically like fucked from the moment we move into the apartment. So that's one.
Yeah.
I don't know, like we were best friends in high school, but I don't know him that well. So he's grieving, and I don't know the first thing. I don't know him that well to know how to be there for him.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
The living situation was fucked.
It's probably a mind fuck on you too. Just
Totally.
all this, yeah.
That was awful, horrendous. The next thing that happened was I was in the Harris Institute, so I had 17 classes a week.
Wow.
Which meant I had 17 fucking midterms and 17 fucking final exams and
why so many classes at once,
shit.
or is it just all jammed into one with that?
Well,
place?
this is so funny, but I mean, I did it to myself. But This is the thing: is the Harris Institute. The reason why I went there is because it had one of the best reputations. Because a lot of these music schools, what they do is if they're money grabs. They just want they want you to spend $15,000, and they'll give your kid a fucking honors roll. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The Harris Institute, they were renowned for being tough on the students. Like very few people, not very few, but like a very low percentage of the people that are in your first semester are there by the third.
Oh, wow.
So like in my case, it was like 17% or 20. Well, I don't even think it was 1 in 5 of us graduated. So that was appealing both to my parents who, I wasn't going to be able to afford it. They were going to help me through the thing. And I needed a degree worth its weight in gold. So, but that meant I was dude, it was so much work, which was tough. One of the other things that was really fucked up about it was I went into that thing being like, great, I'm going to be in this school with all these other people that want to do what I want to do. I'm going to meet so many people. We're all going to be together. There's going to be this there's going to be this camaraderie. There's going to be like all these like-minded creative individuals, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. Again, like
it wasn't the crowd you were looking for, eh?
Fuck no, dude. It was, you know what it was? It was a bunch of kids that were like me that I was scared to be like, right? It was a bunch of like, well, I was going to go to law school, but this seemed more fun. There were like motherfucker, like there were real like just waste cadet, like everyone was smoking weed every class.
Yeah.
And whatever, but like who cares about smoking weed? But like fuck, dude, like 17 classes, like I'm going to fail this shit. Yeah. I can't fail this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
there were also the other real problem for me is that the rap people, the people that were into hip hop, they didn't get me. They didn't understand Halifax. That's another thing about Halifax you got to understand. Buck 65.
I love that guy, man.
Yeah. His art is not for everyone, right?
No, it definitely isn't.
And so if you can imagine, I'm coming from this like left field artsy hip hop scene, right? And I'm coming into Toronto, and what's going on in Toronto? It's like you've got West End, like Brampton, Mississauga wannabe gangster motherfuckers. Okay, they want to rhyme on DMX beats and shit, and I'm not. I'm just like whatever, and they're listening to my like art rap beats and then going like, well, fuck this. I don't this kid whatever, right? So I didn't even really get along with the fucking hip hop people, which was
they're
like
all probably kicking themselves in the ass now.
Fuck, which is a real letdown, right? Because I was like, well, at least the hip hop people, at least I'll get along with them. It's like, nah.
Yeah.
A bunch of them were. There was a whole crew of like Christian rap kids, and I was like, that hated my shit, and I was like, well, all right, man, like whatever. One of those guys ended up me and Stefan became really great friends, and actually a production team for a short time later. But
nice.
A really tough year, man. It was a fucking brutal year.
Did it at least pick up after that then, after your first year back?
It was followed by one of the most incredible years of my life.
And what year was that? Was that back in like the early
2000s? 2002,
okay.
3, yeah.
Nice. Now,
yeah.
What projects, you said you're multi-nominated for Juno Awards. What projects were you on for those? Did any of them win awards or just nominations?
No, always nominated, never. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Yeah. I should say that at the end of that year, just before, because I got the internship with K-Cut of the Main Source, and that was like,
what's K-Cut?
K-Cut's a producer. Okay. He's part of a legendary group called the Main Source.
Okay. Are
the
they
Main
Canadian,
Source,
American?
So Main Source was Large Professor from New York, who's like all-time legendary New York producer.
Okay.
Produced like a bunch of records on Nas's Illmatic and stuff.
Nice.
In fact, Nas's first appearance is on the original Main Source record about Breaking Atoms. So Main Source was K-Cut and Sir Scratch, who were brothers that were DJs, and Large Professor. And they're like a legendary crew. K-Cut eventually went on to become a legendary producer. He produced essentially co-produced Madonna's Human Nature record.
Oh wow!
He produced for Shaq. He produced for Fushnikins. He produced for Redman. He produced for tons of people. And I became his engineer for about 2-3 years after when I came out of school. So those years
was
were
that an
incredible.
Internship there?
It started as an internship, and it became a job. I was his engineer for about 3 years.
Nice.
And
so you were living in New York City at the time?
No, he was in Toronto.
Oh, he was in Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
But yeah. So yeah, with the records that you were asking about, I'm nominated for so Decisive's Vaudeville was nominated for Juno. Ghetto Sox's Treated the Day was nominated for a Juno. Both in the same year in 2011.
Oh, nice. So you produced both those records or songs? Or?
I produced. So I did all the beats on Decisive's Vaudeville except one, and then on Ghetto Sox's Treated the Day, I engineered that entire record.
Oh, nice, man. From start
so
to
the
finish,
production from a lot of different people, but I engineered the whole record. Yeah.
Nice, man. And then you do that. Do you work out of do you have your own studio you work out of in Toronto, or do you work out of another one?
Yeah, no, actually, one of the interesting things about those two records was that when I got out of school and was K-Cut's engineer, I was his engineer, and I worked between the years of like 2004 to like 2006, 7-ish. I was basically an engineer for hire, and I worked at Universal. I worked at EMI Publishing. I did a lot of studio work.
Nice.
And I was an engineer just kicking around the city. And then I had a number of really bad experiences in that time. And of course, like if you look back to what was kind of going on back then, like MP3 downloading, destroyed sales.
Destroyed lots of things, man. Napster started it all.
Yeah, exactly. So, 5 major record companies became 4. Like and if this is a way to think about it, like there was no scene in Toronto, not no scene, but like if you think about the urban wing of the Canadian wing of one of the 4 or 5 majors, like it's not a lot going on out here. You know what I mean? And like what with Jellystone, like what's popping? Like there was no disrespect. Jellystone had some fucking great records, but there just wasn't shit popping off. And so it really was rats on a sinking ship, you know, and there were a lot of desperate people doing desperate things. And it was a really fucking bad time to be in the industry. And I was at the bottom, dude. I was a fucking snot-nosed little engineer getting shit kicked around the city. And it was fucking awful, man. It was awful. And I had some fucking harrowing, terrible experiences doing that, you know? And so
probably really stressful for you and stuff like that. Just
dude, I got fucking
going through some dark times.
I got strangled, dude. I got strangled out. My boss at one point at one job strangled me in a chair with his scarf.
What the fuck?
Talking about it being Black History Month, and it was in February, and he was strangling me out in a chair, and he was talking about like reparation lynching me, as it was like a fucking joke, and I'm fucking choking out in a chair. I had people. I've been owed thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, I mean, it was such a fucking shit show, dude. Anyway, the reason I'm saying all that is because it led me to saying fuck all this industry shit. Yeah. I'm going to start my own home shit, my home studio, which I still run.
Oh, I see it all the time. Yeah.
And it was, 5 years later. So that was 4 or 5 years in the industry starting out. It sucked. Then I went into business for myself, and end of those 5 years, what happens? I got Ghetto Socks, Decisive, Juno nominations.
That's on your own, right? That's
exactly,
on your own.
Exactly. And that was a big deal too, because that was 2 of the 5 entire nominations. Like 40% of the records that were nominated for the best hip hop record in the country, I did in my apartment.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Like, that's pretty, at that time, man, that for me, I was like, I'm here, motherfuckers. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm a fucking problem. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it had been a long journey by that point, which, even then I was still young, but
yeah, you're still young till.
Well, hey.
So, what was your favorite project to work on and why? Your all-time favorite.
Oh shit. I think. Oh, that's tough, man. I have a lot of them, so I'm gonna give honorable mention to 2 honorable mentions. Right. One to the first Extremities record was like a real amazing time. I don't have a good story for that one, but
let's hear it, man.
Okay, so the first Extremities record was cool because Fester was working at CBC, and what he pitched them this idea that him and I would remix a jazz record. And so what happened was CBC commissioned us to remix this jazz record. It was a jazz record that they'd put together with the 4 best fucking jazz musicians on the Eastern Seaboard, man.
Nice.
One of them was Doug Riley, who, if you look Doug Riley up, he's got the Order of Canada for music. He's one of the most incredible Canadian musicians of all time. He arranged Ray Charles records. I mean, he's a fucking god.
Oh, wow.
And so they gave us all the stem files for this jazz record, and we were just remixing it. But the thing was, and they were going to allow us the publishing use to use the samples, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, right? Is these are 4 of the best jazz musicians in the country, okay? And here we come along with our hip hop parlor tricks, and it's like Fester and I were like, we need to really fucking kill this shit. Like, we can't just loop up a bunch of records and put some drums on it.
No, we need to really put some thought into this one.
Yeah, we need to go in. Like, we need to fuck these records up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we went fucking, I don't know how many, maybe 6 weeks we just fucking just chopping the motherfucking shit out of these records. And we submitted the demos. And it was like this kind of like hold your breath moment, because we were like, I hope they like it, because like this is their fucking work,
The butterflies are going in your belly or whatever.
That's right.
Waiting.
That's right. So the word came back that they dug them, but there wasn't a lot of descriptors. And so they invited us, they were playing a show. They invited us to see the show. of
Okay.
them performing the original record that we had
This is the
sampled.
4 that you just remixed the whole thing?
Yeah, so they're
Okay.
playing the album live at this show. So they invite us out to come see it. It's really cool. So we go out there. So Fester and I are standing there, right? We're each got beers in our hand, and they're playing the record. So if you can picture this in your head, I haven't listened to the original record in a while. So they're literally they're reverse engineering the record that I've been working on for 6 weeks at that point.
Yeah.
So they're playing, and Fester and I are catching licks that we've chopped up and rearranged, and they're doing it live, but like improvising it. So like Fester and I are standing there and we're like, dude, this is a fucking trip. Because I have never, and no one else could have ever had that experience. Like the two of us had this like insane experience. Again, listening to them reverse engineer our record because they're the originator. It was like, oh fuck, dude, I have goosebumps. I can't even explain to you what a wild experience that was.
Oh, I bet. You have to be there to experience that one for
Fuck, man.
sure.
So anyway, honorable mention for that record. Honorable mention for the Fraction record, because that record I think was one of my favorites to make. And the winner goes, my favorite record I think overall to make was my record with Matt Labatt, the UFO record, the Building a UFO vinyl.
Actually, I don't even think I've ever heard that one.
Right. Well,
next.
There's a reason why you don't know about it. There's a reason why you don't have it. And it is
because you have the only copy, eh?
No. Well, okay. It's a funny story. The reason why the Fraction is the honorable mention here is because the thing about the Fraction record that was crazy, and the thing about the Matt Labatt record that I love for the same reason, is we didn't know we were making it while we were making it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were just doing shit. It wasn't.
It just came together.
Exactly. Like Fraction will tell you a story about, like, he walked into my apartment one time, and he's rolling a joint, and he looks up at me. He's like, dude, we have like 8 tracks done, eh? And I looked at him and I was like, what? And it was like, oh shit, like we're working on an album. Wow. Okay.
That's hilarious.
And that's why that record's so good, in my opinion.
Amazing. I remember sitting in Fraction's garage with him when that one came out, and it was me, him, Mantis, Specs, and all those guys. We're all just sitting there. It was like 6 a.m, but Fraction might kill me for this, but I remember this before he even had kids. He's like, he whispers to us, he's like, I'm gonna get her knocked up soon, guys. You just picture him though.
That's exactly what he'd say. Oh yeah.
But it was great though. But yeah, just classic Fraction. But man, financial advisor by day and hip hop artist by night.
I mean, he's fucking Batman, that guy, man. Holy shit. I was gonna say that's one of the things about. So, but that's that same reason, and there's so many parallels between me and Fraction and me and Matt Labatt, because we didn't know we were making the record while we were making it. We were just fucking around, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the best shit happens, because, and this is a really important point that I've made on a number of occasions. But Fraction shares this with Matt Labatt. Matt Labatt, he's fuck, man. How do you describe it? Every small town in the world, okay, at this point, hip hop is old enough, okay, hip hop's been around long enough that every small town has, this one guy that's been doing it. He's been, maybe he's a DJ, maybe he's a producer, he's been making beats, collecting records, maybe he's been DJing, he's been doing it from the fucking jump. He's a historian, he's a local historian, he knows all the shit that's going on in his scene. He's every town has this type of person. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And here's the thing: those people are the most important for me, the most important people in hip hop, and not just because they're our elders, and not just because they're historians, but because of one really simple fact: is that they're not in it for the fucking. They're in it because they love it. Their love is pure. Their love isn't tainted by release dates and budgets and all this other bullshit, right?
No.
And that is the most important fucking thing, because as soon as you muddy the waters with money or fucking deadlines or management or labels or any video shoots and all this bullshit, that's when you get away from what the most important fucking thing about the whole thing is. And that's the music and loving it and having a pure love for it, a love that isn't attached, right? Like these guys are in love with the fucking lifestyle of it, right? That's the classic argument, right? Where it's like, you can always tell when an artist you're listening to doesn't really love hip hop music.
No,
you can always tell.
It's almost like it's forced upon them when they're in the studio or with their big record label or something.
Yeah, they're doing it for other reasons. And you can always hear that. And so that's the thing with Fraction and especially with Matt Labatt. Matt Labatt, he's from London, Ontario. We call him he got the name Matt Labatt because he still knows how to break into the Labatt Brewery and steal fucking 2-4s.
Nice.
And so, right? Fucking right is nice because every time we go through London, I swear every fucking time, it was so great. Every time we do a show in London, he would come up to the merch table at the end of the night and he'd be like, yo, where's the after party? I'll meet you there with a couple 2-4s in about an hour. And we'd be like, bet, right? And it's so funny because this is the secret that, of course, he's only let a few other people in the world know because he didn't want to blow up the spot because then everybody starts doing it and someone fucks it up.
Yeah, exactly.
To this fucking day, he could probably do it. I'm telling you. So we call him Matt Labatt.
Nice.
The other thing about Matt Labatt is that he's been digging records like for fucking 20 years.
Yeah.
Specifically, he would go to the Goodwill. He would go to Goodwill every Thursday morning.
God bless those places, man.
Fucking right, eh?
Find some gems there too.
Exactly. Well, Matt Labatt found the secret. What he would do is he would go there every Thursday morning because Thursday morning is when all the records. Wednesday night is when the records get sorted. Thursday morning is when all the new records would get put out on the floor, right? He did that for 12 years straight. Okay? Consequently, this motherfucker has one of the best record collections I've ever seen, and he's never paid more than fucking $1 for any of them.
Wow.
Right? So that's crazy. And
My dad has quite the extensive collection too. He used to be a DJ actually back in the 70s before I was born. So yeah, he has.
God love him.
He had probably over 4,000, still has them to this day, about 4,000 vinyls sitting in his basement, man. Like some gems. I mean, gems. You would
God
be
love
amazed.
him. That's right.
Yeah.
So so Matt, right? Matt was an early mentor of mine. He was an early digging mentor, an early production mentor. And so like this was, I don't even know how many years ago now, but he would hit me up and he'd be like, hey man, I'd love to come through and just like work on some beats. You know, it'd be great to like just, I don't know, work on a beat tape or something. I'll be like, yeah. And I was like, man, you know, like I would never have the time. I was always so busy. And he's like, man, fuck it. I'll pay for your time, whatever. And I was like, I feel bad. He's like, don't even worry about it. I'll come through. We'll fucking have a couple beers. We'll just make some beats for a day or two. And I was like, all right, cool. It was a winter. It was a slow month, right? So he comes through and we start making, what we did is we decided that we weren't going to like try to make 3-minute long beats. We were just going to pick a tempo and a key and just start throwing records.
Nice.
So he would come with a drum break. I would come with a sample. I would come with a drum break. He would come with a sample. I pull out my bass guitar, play a bass line. He'd pull out the keyboard. He'd scratch something, cool. He'd bleep something over here, cool. And we just kept going. And we just didn't give a shit. It was just like, we weren't trying to make beats for anyone. We weren't trying to arrange 16s for rappers. None of that shit. It was just like musical movements. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we created these crazy movements in these keys and tempos.
Nice.
And then one day he brings me this. He's digging around and he brings me this video cassette tape of because he's not just digging in the vinyl, right? He's digging in the VHS.
Oh Lord.
So he finds this VHS cassette tape, and it's a student documentary done by these two kids. And they do a documentary on this guy named David Hamill. Now, David Hamill is a UFO nut job. Or
is that the guy that has the UFO house?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. So the thing about David Hamill is that David Hamill, he is abducted multiple times over the course of his life, right? And during these abductions, he says that he's shown the inner workings of the spaceship. And he becomes convinced that the aliens are trying to show him how to rebuild the engine. So He spends the next 40 years of his life until he dies attempting to rebuild what he's seen during his abductions on the spaceships.
Wow.
And dude, the guy is either a total nut job or a genius. It's really hard to tell because what he starts doing is building. He uses circular magnets to create these perpetual motion machines that work. Okay, they fucking work. But the problem is that you can't. Here's the thing: the science makes sense. If you were to get 3 concentric circles, circular discs, and have them spinning in opposite directions fast enough,
yeah,
you could have lift. And if you could manipulate the fucking tilt of each one of them within each other, you could direct the fucking tilt of it, and you could actually move it around. So it's super fucked up. The shit's crazy. So but we decided.
That where the plan came from for this album?
We decided that, like David Hamill, we were going to build our own UFO.
Nice.
And because what's a piece of vinyl but a spinning fucking disc, right? And then the idea was that on the A side, it was 16 minutes, and the beats change every 8 bars. It just bulldozes through beats. And then the other side of the vinyl is all of the samples and drums open, so you can make your own UFO.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's
so
awesome, man.
It's just fucking awesome, right? Except here's the funny part about it, and the reason why you don't know about this release is because when it came time at the end, Matt was like, listen, I'll press it up. I'll press it on vinyl for us. I was like, that's crazy. What do you mean? He's like, I want to press it. I've always wanted to do it. I'll design it. I'll press it up. It'll be dope. I'm like, that's fucking amazing. Oh my God, we got to get let's make a video. Let's get it up online. And he was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, it's only available hand to hand at shows. It doesn't go online. We don't promote it online anywhere. You can only get it from us. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? We've got to promote this thing. It's dope. He's like, no. And I'm like, I can't argue with the guy because he's fucking paying for the shit. So I'm like, fuck. Here's the best part of it. Best argument I ever lost in my whole life. I'm on my 3rd pressing of this vinyl, okay? I've hand to hand sold probably close to 600 of them, 700 of them. And here's the thing, because they were never online, there's no release date. Yeah. You only know about them if you come to the shows, which means
or if you talk to someone like I am right now. Exactly.
It means that you only know about it that way. That means that I can press them up forever. There's no fucking okay. They never age. Not to mention the fact there's drum breaks and shit on them, so they're useful. It's almost like green content.
Yeah.
So, dude, it was like, it is the most financially rewarding argument I've ever lost.
And you're still selling them to this day, eh?
Dude, okay, let me put it this way. Your first pressing of a vinyl is really expensive because you got to pay for all the chemicals that make the metal pressing plates and stuff, right? The dub plates. And the environmental cost is a lot. So your first pressing is a lot. My last pressing, I got 300 of those. I got 300 of them for $975 American.
Fuck.
So it's like $350 American a piece. Okay. Yeah. I was selling for 25 euros a pop.
Oh wow! Like when you're over on your European tour,
dude. I made
them up like hotcakes.
I made so much fucking money on these. Yo, here's the funny thing: the first box, he's like, when he got them pressed, he gave me a box for free. He gave me a box of 50.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks on the road. I'd sold out of them, and I was selling them for $20 a pop. I made $1,000 like bang, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I did a fucking Hamilton DMC thing, and all the DJs bought double copies.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit. This is a fucking gold mine.
Nice. There you go.
Anyway, it's my favorite release for all of these reasons, and
nice.
Fuck, man. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Now we gotta go for the double whammy. What was your least favorite project to work on? Or least favorite artist to work with? You can pick either or both.
My least favorite project to work on, or my least favorite artist?
Yeah, we'll go with the artist. We just did your favorite project. What was your least favorite artist to work with, and why?
My least favorite artist to work with. Let's see. I feel bad saying this, but working on Decisive's vaudeville was fucking awful. And the reason was that it's not really fair because he's not my least favorite artist, but the process of making vaudeville was really miserable because there were press releases going out that didn't include me. Like no one knew that I produced it, and it was like getting played on CBC or in like rock stations and like getting all this praise, and no one knew that I had anything to do with it, and that was really awful. But that's not really his fault. So it's hard to like. I'm trying to think. My least favorite artist to work with. I feel like I'm forgetting something really, really big here. That like it's such an obvious answer if I just take a minute. Maybe it's just because I'm on the spot. Moonshine was a real shitbag.
And who's Moonshine?
He's a producer and rapper from Winnipeg.
Okay.
And he's a real shitbag.
Had a bad dealing with him, eh?
He's just not an honorable. His dealings with me were not honorable. That's what I'll say.
Okay,
and,
fair enough.
And the reason why it sucked especially is because there was a time where I really looked up to him and I really respected him, and he really fucked him. He really fucked me up. He did some shit that's like that was just really tough for me as somebody, especially from someone that you're looking up to, you know?
Yeah. So
it was like really disappointing. It was like, yeah. And I kind
some things you'd rather not discuss.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not worth going into details, but like,
fair enough.
It was, it just sucks. Cause like, it's not that it's like, oh, when you meet your heroes, it's not like he was a hero, but yeah, he was somebody I looked up to. He was a producer. He was also an engineer. So we shared a lot in common. And so I didn't have a lot, I don't really have a lot of peers in this game. Like there's not very many independent fucking rap engineers. It's like our
not anymore.
Yeah, right. The trials and tribulations that you go through as one of those, as one of these, I can count my peers on one hand, right? So
yeah, for sure.
I think my disappointment was hurt so much because my excitement was so high when I first met him, because I was like, oh man, this is my fucking guy,
Yeah.
But I mean, fuck, everyone goes through shit. I mean,
for sure.
I'm not mad at him anymore, but fuck, he really, really disappointed me. Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading through some articles there too. What's the Shambhala or Shambhala?
Shambhala.
Shambhala.
Goodness,
What's
man.
that all
It
about?
is the greatest party on the fucking planet, man. It really is the single most
BC,
incredible party I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah. And you participated in it too, haven't you?
I've been lucky enough to participate in it. And it's funny because I honestly, I really do consider myself lucky because it is it's the greatest party on the planet. But
nice.
It's also like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a tastemaker thing. It's like, it's top 10 festivals in the world every year for the last 20 years.
Oh,
mean, it is. It's like,
where does it take place out in BC there?
It takes place like in the middle of nowhere. It's in the mountains. It's close to Salmo or Castlegar.
Okay.
It's like, it's deep in the mountains. It's a really beautiful, picturesque place. It's like, it's sort of, it's geographically isolated and capped. So you can't put 20,000 people in there. It doesn't work.
It's just a small little thing, eh?
It's a smaller festival. It's not a small festival, but it's like, it maxes out at about maybe 7,000.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But just, man, like the people that you meet, the shit that goes down, like just the good times, like sure the drugs and sure all that stuff, but like,
yeah.
I think for me, the thing about that thing that really opened my eyes is because I never thought of myself as an EDM person. Like I don't go to those festivals. I don't take part, and I'm not like, I don't love dubstep or house music as much. That music isn't as appealing to me. But it's also like, so going there, you have all these expectations. You're like, it's going to be all these bros. It's going to be all this drug shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be all these people in dumb costumes. And then you get there, And also you're like, well, there's no, hip hop, like, I don't really love this music. There's not really a place for me. And then you go, and it was exactly the opposite on all the fronts. Everything that I thought, all of my preconceived notions were completely thrown out the window. Number one, the drugs. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of people doing drugs, but there's a lot of people taking care of one another. There's the
Nice.
sense of community there.
Oh,
There's
nice.
okay, the whole bro thing, sure, the bro thing, whatever.
Like a new age Woodstock.
100%, man. You're part of a tribe. Everyone's
Yeah.
taking care of each other. Everyone's looking after one another. It's You don't get that feeling anywhere else in the fucking world. And honestly, like, I'm not a religious person, but I really do feel like that idea of a congregation. Like, I don't go to church, but
Yeah.
that appeal of being amongst people that that everybody in this room and everyone in this area cares about one another, and they're looking out for you. They want you to succeed. They want you to be happy. That is a transformatively powerful thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Especially if you're playing that stage and stuff too, and just watching
sure.
that go down.
I mean, dude, even as a fan, being there was like transformative like that. So there's that. There's the other thing too, where you're like, I'm not gonna really like this music. Fucking, dude, there's so much incredible music going on there. I was exposed to so many incredible acts, so much amazing stuff. Not to mention the fact that, like, I didn't think there was a home for like some of the stuff that I did, for example.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't think that. I was like, okay, well, you want me to play my routines? Like, how is an EDM crowd going to react to my shit? Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking went out there with random story. Friends, I helped get friends of my girlfriend's at the time into the artist camp, and they were like, yo, we really appreciate it. If there's anything we do, if anything we can do, we really appreciate it. Let us know. And I said, as a joke, I was like, if you can do a choreographed dance routine for me on Saturday, that'd be great. I said
Like
it as a
on
joke.
stage?
I said it as a joke.
Yeah.
It turns out she's part of a 4-woman amazing dance crew from Boise, Idaho called Corvette.
Wow.
And she's like, fucking right. Yeah. When's your set? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'll get the girls ready. What do you want us to do? I'm like, what are the songs? I'm like, holy fuck. So I get them the songs. They spend 2 days rehearsing. We hit the stage. I fucking Hulk smashed 2,000 people like into their fucking brain. Like, it was unfucking believable, man. It was like,
nice.
It was one of the wildest things I've ever done in my whole life.
Nice, man.
I fell in love there. Dude, like, I can't say enough about it. I can't say enough.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've saw like your posts and stuff from there, so I've always been curious what it's all about. Now I got you to ask, so he explained it.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy too, because, like, sure, you can go to the dubstep stage, or you can see Questlove rock for 5,000 people, or you can go like I was jamming with fucking Z-Trip. I was playing drums, Z-Trip was scratching. Like, it's just all this shit going on, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Nice, man. I think I got one more, and then I got the 5 questions of fire.
Oh shit!
Just a bunch of them. What was it like being invited to the Goldie Awards down in New York City there?
Oh man. So the thing that was crazy about it was, my last battle, like, I hadn't battled in a really long time.
Yeah.
I won the Sound Battle Royale in 2012, and then
Where'd that take place, in Toronto?
It was in Toronto. Yeah, it was a live beat battle. I won the heat event to be in the final, and then I won the final. But that hadn't happened. I mean, when was I in the Goldie Awards? 2017. So
yes, I think it was 2017.
Yeah. So I mean, it'd been 5 years since I've been in, and solid 6 years since I've been in battle mode.
Okay.
So that was kind of weird, because, again, I applied. Here's the funny thing is, I was on tour with Vect. Vect, if you don't know DJ Vect, 7-time fucking world
DJ Vect,
champion.
don't worry, he's a guest coming up soon too with Thug Shells.
Yeah. Oh man, he's a fucking monster.
He's from my hometown.
He's one of the best DJs on the planet.
Yeah.
If not, like, technically the best. But we were on a cross country tour. We did 35 dates coast to coast in Canada that summer, and the submission deadline. So the way a tour worked is we toured from Toronto to Halifax to Vancouver, Victoria, back to Toronto.
And then worked your way back, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a fucking long one, man. It was 35, 37 dates, shows. Yeah. And the submission deadline was right around when we were in Winnipeg. And it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to like build and film a routine to submit while you're on the road?
Yeah.
And then what happened was is Thunder Bay, we had a bed bug scare in Thunder Bay. I woke up in a bed and with bed bugs crawling on me, and I freaked out.
Fuck.
And we got out of there. We had to cancel a bunch of shit. We didn't tell anybody why. We said we were sick, but we were fucked. And we were like, oh my God. And if you can imagine, I was in Thunder Bay in a rainstorm, stripping naked, putting my clothes in a laundry bag, and then getting into a car and a clean clothes so that I could separate everything that had been potentially contaminated with bed bugs from everything that was safe.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was like, I'm going to get shot and murdered right now in Thunder Bay in this alleyway in the rain, naked. Like, fuck. Somebody comes up on this scene. What the hell? It's ridiculous. So anyway, we had a couple of days off to fucking submit to the Goldie Awards, thank God.
Oh, no.
So we did. And the thing was, Vect like knows A-Track. So I was like, and A-Track had reached out to Vect because there weren't a lot of good submissions early. And A-Track was like, I need to have good submissions, so please submit to him.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, he's going to be in, right? Or like I know he's going to be in, but like this is the story of my career, is that I'm never cool enough to be in these things. I never get invited to the shit. I'm not cool enough to be in the coolie scenes. I'm not like, I'm always the fringe player because, you know, for the same reason that I was like, I've decided to always not do the thing that everybody else is doing. So to some degree. So I was like, I wonder whether, you know, so Vex may be in, maybe he can help me out. Maybe he may help me get in. I don't know. He couldn't do a damn thing. And he's like, listen, A-Track is not going to fucking do a thing. He's not even going to, he asked me to submit. He probably won't even let me in. We find out back in Sudbury on the way back that we'd made it in. So then I went into battle mode and, which was exciting. And the thing about battle mode is I really hate who I become in battle mode because you like
just consume yourself in that lifestyle.
Yeah, because it's you're nervous and scared, but you're also like mean and like fuck everyone kind of thing. So it's like it's the worst. It's kind of like the worst of a lot of worlds because and here's the other thing. There was construction going on in my building from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And so I would stay up all night working, and then I couldn't sleep during the construction. So I was a sleepless, crazy wreck of a man that whole week, right? And I was doing nothing but practicing and building and working. And of course, you're not making any money, so it's crazy because they had DJ Khalil send us the sounds we were supposed to use, and there's a video from him being like, "Hey guys, I made them some sounds for you." It's like it's in my email. It's like him talking to me.
Yeah,
DJ Khalil. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. The shit was insane, man. Nice. You should definitely check out my Pad Life web series because the 3 episodes I did were about going. So you should definitely check that out because I documented the whole
check
thing.
That out, and my fans should check that out too. So,
but what happened was they fly you down there and put you up in a hotel.
Yeah.
So I get down there and it's really funny because like everyone's kind of being nice but not too nice to each other.
So what is the Goldie Awards so we can let everyone know?
Sure. It's a competition. There's 2 separate competitions. It's an event where there's a beat battle amongst producers, and then there's a DJ battle. And what they do is they have open submissions for a few months leading up to the event. So you basically, all the producers make their beat videos, all the DJs make their routine videos, and they submit, and then the top 8 in each group are picked, and then the 8 go at it. And there's 3 rounds. In our case, we had to use the Khalil sample. And then we had 2 minutes to do the Khalil sample and an original beat. So think about this. They fly you down there, put you up in a hotel to play for 2 minutes. And there's celebrity judges. Well, it gets wilder because you're playing in front of a packed house at Brooklyn Steel, which is probably close to 2,000 people. The judges there's judges that are lining each side of the stage. Okay, so I'm literally performing in front of 2,000 people. Okay, to my left is Just Blaze, Manny Fresh, DJ Craze. To my right is Diplo, DJ Migas, and I can't remember who the other celebrity judge over here was.
Wow.
There's Dave East is hosting. A-Track is there. They're filming the whole thing. They're broadcasting it to the world, and you're waiting to play for 2 minutes. And it's
Wow.
like, so it's a fucking pressure cooker, man. It's like,
Yeah.
I had a great time doing it, but I never, ever, ever want to fucking do it again because
Yeah.
it was
Well,
just like,
it's a one-off, eh?
fuck, man. It was the pressure was fucking crazy. The thing was, it didn't really matter because just being there was kind of the whole thing. Like, I made top 8, and they flew me to New York, and I'm there, all my New York homies are coming. I come out, and my
Nice.
cousins were out and shit. It was cool.
That's awesome.
I
Man.
of course didn't win, but
Yeah, you
I
got the
probably
experience,
should
man, back
have.
pocket. You probably should have, eh?
I probably should have.
Who won that year?
A producer from Portugal named Holly,
Okay.
who's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Never heard, so.
He's a fucking, I mean, he's one of those guys where it's like his music sounds like an airplane crashing into the water. It's like, it's like, it's like so fucked up, but it's cool. He's a sound design master.
Nice, man. So I'm gonna do the 5 questions of fire. I've been calling it. So there's one-off questions, man. Ready for them? All right.
Yeah.
What's your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant, and what is the restaurant?
Hair of the Dog, which is close to me, and my order is I get the butter chicken grilled cheese,
Nice.
half salad, half fries. Dude, it's fucking amazing.
Nice.
I get the half salad, half fries, which they do. I get a side of chipotle mayo, and I get my favorite Belgian beer. They have a beer list that's just fucking wildly good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you wish you had known when you first started out that you know today, that you didn't know back then?
Oh, fuck. I wish I'd known the importance of visuals. I wish I'd paid more attention and learned how to Photoshop video editing stuff. I wish I'd really, because that part of my game is like probably the most lacking.
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
I'm grateful to be dating a photographer. So,
I'm telling you, keep her close.
Yeah. What are you curious about right now? Just having a look for the audience.
I mean, the timing is ridiculous because I'm curious what the taste of fucking air, lake air is like now because I'm stuck in my house.
No.
I'm curious, but no. The better question: what am I curious about? I'm curious about the season 4 of Ozark. Yeah.
Nice. I haven't even watched full season 1. My girls watched all 3, but
I got my dad hooked. It's pretty funny.
And one more. Is there anything I should have asked but didn't?
I don't know. Maybe what I'm working on now. What do you got going on?
Yeah. What do you got going on?
What am I doing? Yeah. Let me plug some shit. I don't know.
Well, how
Should
about
I plug some shit? Yeah.
Give us a little taste of that MPC there.
Oh shit.
If you got it going.
Yeah, I got it going.
Yeah. Want to do a little routine for us?
Sure. Oh shit. Yeah, why not? Why not, huh? I got a little
till we get
you know what though? Here's the thing. You know what I didn't do? Yeah, I got my MPC going. Well, you know how the DJ Premier and RZA went at it like a little while ago.
Yeah, that was dope. That was like last week there.
Super dope. Yeah, I really I love those guys. And
you got something like that coming up?
Well, okay, yeah, because I have all my favorite shit. One of my things is I love Premier so much. Like DJ Premier is like one of my all-time fucking favorites. And so he's a fucking go-to. And he didn't play. I thought there's this Janet Jackson remix of his that he does that I really love. I basically just remade it. Like I didn't even, excuse me. I just remade it. I didn't even like put my own flair on it. I just fucking, I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but I replay. It's like a cover on the pads. Like,
okay.
I don't know if anyone's ever done that of like a cover of a song on the MPC, but like an actual me just replicating what he's done. Like
With
I
no
haven't
words
actually.
though.
What's that?
With just the beat, right?
No. I got the acapella.
Nice.
It's a Janet Jackson. It's a Janet Jackson remix.
Let's do this. Let's do this. You want me to dance in here?
I'm so happy for my baby. Everywhere I smile, I see you. You want that smiling back at me, dancing in my life. Are free, to see your stars
Wow.
on me.
Yeah, word up.
Nice, man. Nice. That was dope, man. Thank you.
There you go.
So before we end it off here, man, I just, give a little shout out and everything, and thank you for Fresh Kills. What would you tell the kids? 3 things you would tell them positive, to keep up for today, and what to do.
Oof.
3 positive things,
3 positive things. I would say, perseverance is the key thing. So like if anything that you do, just do it once a month. Like let's start a podcast, do a beat, whatever it is. Anything that you do and you do for 5 years will become something, and don't be afraid of cause like kids can't see that their things are going to be connected later. So like, don't stop, persevere. And don't be afraid of that, because by the time, even if you do something, that isn't successful for 5 years, you're going to be really good at it by the end of 5 years. So you have skills. I think the other thing is, don't be afraid to be weird. I feel like that's easier now than it was back in my day. I mean, it wasn't easy to be like a skinny white kid doing rap music, or banging on pads.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to some degree now, but don't be afraid to be extra fucking weird. That's a big one. The weird shit the weird shit, if 10 people are doing the same thing, what separates them is the resources and how good they look, not the art, right? So if you're weird and you're doing stuff that no one's doing, then you immediately take the resources and look out of the competition, because no one's doing what you're doing. You're an only thing. So that's another thing. Unique. Just be weird. Do weird shit. I think the other thing encouraging, I would say, is for the kids is, it's not even that I would say this. I'm not worried. Like it's not even something I would tell the kids. I got to be honest. I am really happy with. I'm happy with the future. I look at these young kids that I meet. They're way smarter. They're smarter than I am now.
It's crazy how the times have changed because of technology. Even my daughter, at 5 years old, she's mastered Snapchat, for fuck's sakes.
I'm telling you, this next generation is in good fucking hands, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's anything I can tell them, and honestly, I'm happy about it. Like some of the dude, everyone's like, "Well, the state of rap music sucks." There's never been more amazing fucking rap music or amazing music going on ever in the history of the world. There's so much inspiring shit going on. Culturally, we're moving forward.
For sure.
These kids that I fucking meet that I don't have it, and I quote unquote teach them. I don't have anything to fucking teach them. These kids are the world is in good hands, man. I couldn't be happier.
Nice, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your experience, strength, hope, and some funny stories and stuff for us all. So I appreciate
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. And we'll chat soon, buddy.
All right, man. Much love.
Yeah, much love to you too.